Good morning. I've lived in Boston 20 years. I had no idea this place existed. And it's pretty cool. I didn't know there was a comedy club out here. This is nice. So good morning. Thanks to Max and for all you guys attending. I do a lot of different speeches and a lot of different keynotes on sales, and I'll talk a little bit about myself as we talk about Gatekeepers. But as Max said, it's rare that I get an opportunity to join a group that is really dedicated to some of the content as opposed to some of the other fluffy things. So I'm really happy to talk, and especially on a great topic around gatekeepers. Raise your hand if you or your staff or your team or people you work with get stuck at gatekeepers frequently. And I'll put my hand up too, because I think we all do. We're going to talk a little bit about them today. If you see that movie, think about like the movie Frankenstein or read the book Frankenstein. What's the story of Frankenstein? You know, you have this doctor who creates this monster. And what's the name of the monster, by the way, if you've seen Frankenstein? Did anyone know? It's Frankenstein's monster. It's just monster. It's not, that's right. So and you know what's weird? Like a few years ago, we had a lot of vampire movies, and then we did a lot of mummy and Walking Dead movies and zombies, and so no Frankenstein. I think we need Frankenstein movies. I like Frankenstein. First thing that happens to Frankenstein is Dr. Frankenstein creates this monster, and it gets life in its veins, and its heart starts to beat, and it rises up from the table as the lightning crashes. And the doctor says, "It's alive. It's alive." And what's the first thing the monster does with his first action as a living creature? Strangles Dr. Frankenstein. First thing it does, strangles Dr. Frankenstein. That is absolutely a gatekeeper. Because more often than not, when we have gatekeepers, we have to look in the mirror because we probably built that monster. We probably did. So we'll talk about two kinds of gatekeepers I think we experience. The first is the gatekeeper who's hired to be one, you know, like an EA or a receptionist and the like, and we like them, and we're going to talk a little bit about them and how to work with them better, because we like them. They can help us. They can help us in our endeavor. There's another kind of gatekeeper, not really officially hired to be a gatekeeper, but, you know, volunteers for the job. You know, the all calls go through me guy. That's the guy we want to avoid, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So let's talk about the first one first. Raise your hand if you've, I know a lot of different roles in the room. Raise your hand if you, either now or in your career, have had an executive assistant dedicated to you in your role. Raise your hand if you have one now or you have had one in the past. 3 hands, not surprisingly. I didn't have an EA. I've been in sales my whole career. I didn't have an EA until I started my own business. And yet we work with them all the time, and we're expected to kind of understand how they work and what they want to see. So when you think about an executive assistant or anyone who might be blocking access to that power level, what's their charter? What's their job? Anybody? What's the role of an EA for a CTO or a CIO or a CFO?
Only let the important stuff get through.
Only let the important stuff get through. And guess what? You ain't one of them. You're not one of them, because I don't even know you. My boss doesn't know you. So that's an issue. What else? What else is their job? What do they do all day? They manage their executives' time, their calendar. True. What else do they do? And you said they block access and they grant access. Both of those things are true. And whenever I ask a room full of salespeople, what does an EA do? I get those 2 answers right off the bat, and they're right. That is exactly what an EA does. But I have an EA. Her name is Sherry. She's been with me for 10 years. She absolutely controls my calendar. She absolutely grants access. She absolutely denies access. And those 3 elements of her job make up less than 5% of her week.